Hello everybody, this is the Pacific War Channel. I'm your dutiful host, Craig, and I'm joined here by my two friends, Justin and Ian. How are you guys?
Hey there.
What's up, everybody? Good to be back.
Now,
In the Studio of Death.
Which, for those of you watching this, maybe on the Patreon I'll put a visual representation. It looks like we're at a bar. I'm quite pleased with my little 5-second AI rendering of a random war-torn bar.
Again, I don't understand how every content creator ever has a fake background, but you feel the need to point yours out.
I'm thinking it's like a rural Meiji restoration.
Exactly. I went out of the way to, with the... I'm looking, there is bottles behind us on the screen, so it's cool.
That's what I'm drinking.
But the subject matter of this weird episode is how would you get your normie friend into the Pacific War?
Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know I now have a Patreon account found at www.patreon.com/thepacificwarchannel. Over there you can find exclusive Patreon episodes and podcasts based on suggestions from patrons, and other benefits like early access to all of my content, live hangouts, your name in the end credits, and much, much more. So please go check it out.
So, in layman's terms, you're the weird guy who has no one to talk to about the Pacific War, and you got friends, hopefully, and you want to
find other weird friends who like the Pacific War.
Hint, if you know a lot about the Pacific War, you probably don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
In this case, Justin's the normie.
So... if this is the case, and you want to trick... let's be honest, if you want to trick somebody into getting into the Pacific War today, how would you do that? So I've made a little list of the different formats. We got movies, books, all sorts of things. And we're going to use my friend Justin here. He's less on the history side kind of guy. He's like our guinea pig. And me and Ian are just going to kind of, go through the ringer of... how would we find things for him to like that would kind of get him interested in the Pacific War? And maybe you can use some of these tips with random people you run into at bars. It'll be a creepy experience, to be sure.
I'll give you guys a hint. I have never...
using media to pique interest in a subject.
Pretty much. That's it, yeah. But I think this is going to be a pretty funny episode because I got a pretty weird list of shit. And so... I was thinking of all the different formats. I'm just going to list them right now for the audience to know, because I was really struggling, what are all the formats available to you? I think the first and the foremost is YouTube, ironically enough. YouTube is where anybody sees anything. Majority of people, I think, use YouTube in some way or another.
I think most kids nowadays, that's their primary education system.
Yeah, I had to put it before. I put number 2 as movies.
Well, just to make a comment on that, us, when we were at that age, let's say, we're...
How old are we again? Let's not tell the audience.
12 and curious.
What the fuck?
Okay, but for us to... For us to learn things, we'd have to go to the public library, take a book out to read about certain subjects.
We were born in the 70s, for fuck's sake.
No, but
we had internet, Ian.
Okay, maybe not
dial-up.
12. Okay, so we were still on dial-up at that time, but everyone had the CD of the encyclopedia and that.
Oh god, yeah.
We all had that. The internet was still in a limited stage where, I'm talking mid 90s, late 90s.
Yeah,
it was. Sure. You had to know where to look to find, content in that on certain subjects, and you would not randomly stumble on World War II, Pacific War specifically stuff. You had to know where to look to get it. Nowadays, with YouTube, just with a few clicks, it's easy, and it also has clips of some of our favorite, media ever released, like certain movies and that. Or breaking down books of certain events in World War II. So us, we listen to that. You guys obviously do as well, because you're listening to this or watching it on YouTube, whichever.
Especially Gen Zs. I think the go-to in this is, I don't want to be go check out a TikTok. We'll call it just YouTube, but it's media in general online.
It's very easy to stumble onto a YouTube video, top 20 battles of all time, in film. It's...
Okay. And I am excited to let you guys pitch me on this and hear about it, but I do have a very big counterpoint to that argument.
All right.
Which is the fact that nowadays the problem is not only do you have to go and look up your own information on the internet, but you also have to find a way of filtering the real from the bullshit.
That's why we got a list of
because not only can anybody publish anything, but now you have not only are a lot of these things just done off shoddy research to begin with.
Yeah, like myself.
Absolutely.
But then you get into AIs, you get into deep fakes, you get into clickbaity stuff, which is all just it's not made for the actual content itself.
When you forego a peer review process like that is
there's no peer review for YouTube.
Actually, in the realm of history, there is.
You can get other channels shooting you down. Like
there's a very famous
listen to this
situation.
guy. He's wrong in that.
There was a very famous situation where one of the writers at Kings and Generals was called out by another really big YouTube channel for an episode on Chinese ancient history.
Was it you? It was you.
No, I had nothing to do with this, but I just know the guy that called out the guy on YouTube. Anyways, that was a interesting one.
No, but just to say that it is a great access to information, but then you have to go through that secondary tier of filtering information and vetting information yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Because
otherwise you end up with shoddy research, and that's when you meet a real historian. You go, "Did you know that?" And then you look like a fucking idiot.
It is easy to put disinformation up on YouTube. Yeah,
but
the internet in general.
Just to get through the list of the formats before we jump into each one. So the first one I thought of was YouTube channels. I think in this day and age, it's kind of the forefront for this kind of stuff. The second one, movies. Especially when we were younger, movies was everything, and movies was what got you interested in any kind of subject matter, especially when it came to World War II. The third one, books. I mean, it goes without saying, and that should be the main one, but not everybody's into literature and reading. After that, I put anime, because we're both, even you to a lesser part, we're kind of weebs. The fifth one, I put TV series. There's not a lot of English Pacific War TV series, but, it's there. Video games. Definitely a huge one for all of us.
Make a comment on that. Like, from the Western world, when you mention World War II, majority of the time people think Europe.
Band of Brothers.
The Pacific War is very overshadowed.
Big time. Especially for Europeans.
And we've done a podcast on that in the past.
It's American-centric. No Europeans care about it. And even for Americans, a lot of Americans like the European War too. Yeah. For number 7, and this is a really random, it's manga. I might be the only one who could pitch in here. 8, I put music, be surprised. And number 9, I put podcasts. Probably should have put that as number 2, to be honest.
Just gonna use this moment to, plug number 1 Pacific War history podcast in the world.
Dan Carlin. There you go. But
I thought you were gonna say yourself.
No, I'm not gonna be that guy.
You're too.
YouTube channels that can do the same thing. Yeah. But so me and Ian are both. I know we're both huge consumers of history on YouTube. And when it comes to the Pacific War, I would first ask Justin if you were going to watch a history YouTube episode. How long would you want it to be about? Do you prefer? Because in YouTube, it's usually 15 minutes, or it could be like an hour for history stuff.
Here's the thing. I feel like I flip-flop between being like full ADHD and kind of a normal person, where if it's something that really, really grabs my interest from the start, I can watch an hour, 2 hours, whatever.
That's when you want a deep dive.
But if it's just something I'm checking out just for like a mild curiosity, my attention span can be gone in 3 to 4 minutes if it doesn't really bang.
So for myself, because I made a little list just to be a little cohesive, I was thinking, and of course I'm going to mention, the Kings and Generals has the Pacific War Week by Week series. My channel does. It's the Pacific War channel. It's its own thing. But another channel that I like is the Operations Room. I think these are very distinctly different channels, not in terms of the subject matter, but the format. So what I would be saying to you is Kings and Generals Week by Week is week by week. You're watching an episode every week for almost 5 years. It's a hell of a commitment. Each episode's about 25 minutes or less, and there are long documentaries that are kind of like fit into place at certain points. But I think it's
still shorter than One Piece.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, dude, One Piece is like up here. Like Berserk, the manga series, and One Piece is like here, and yeah.
But when you think about it, you're getting, a broad subject in a very condensed format.
The most amount of
easy to
information.
digest format, rather than when it comes to digesting the entirety of World War II. Just imagine the amount of books you have to read and research just to encompass it all. And when you have a week by week format, you're getting things in a condensed version.
Which is great. I can tell you from the perspective of an outside guy, I don't care what happened on January 6th, 1942, that one soldier picked his nose and another guy. I'm more of a big event guy. Like, I want to know if I hear about a specific battle or a specific general or a certain kind of tank that I want to learn about, I want to learn about that. So I don't care what happened the next day in some guy's underpants.
I would bring up the operations room. So the operations room typically likes to do events. So they'll take a singular battle and he'll present it.
What I love about him is he does, like, I'm a Navy guy. I love anything Navy. I swallow that up.
He's a big Navy.
He has great episodes about naval battles, and one of my favorite is the Race Across the English Channel by the Kriegsmarine Scharnhorst, and I know you're going to butcher me for the way I say it. Scharnhorst and the Gneisenau, and they had a heavy
Gneisenau. It's German, it's not English.
I knew it.
Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, yeah.
But, like, I love watching, like, a map. And
of course.
It's like everything's in real time. He does great animation for the ship itself, moving along. He has many videos like it, and it just gives you that bird's eye view that
that's actually
if you're interested in watching battles and that recently did a Letty Golf
very impressive
series of videos, and for those who don't know, Letty Golf is the largest naval battle
in human history.
People, there's some argument that there's been there was I would say like an ancient battle in China that involved more ships, but in terms of manpower, and when you think about, like, these are ships that have thousands of people on it
and coordination,
and surface displacement. You cannot argue there that the surface displacement of these ships. It's the largest naval battle of all time. Yeah. And he has a way of just showing the fleets and, the individual ships in battle. And, like, you're talking about these vessels, they, like, in cases, they have 3,000 people on each. And it's just, like, them moving around, shooting torpedoes, firing at each other. And so if that is something that you're interested in when it comes to World War II, like seeing the battle
visually, actually, like to propose a question. Visually, are you more into the idea of seeing like actual imagery of battles or a map rendition with units on the map? Because this is something that we see in the realm of history on YouTube, like my channel, for example, or any of these channels always dabble in. You're either kind of doing images of the war or actual video footage of the war, whereas like, Kings and Generals exclusively likes to do their own maps and units on a map.
My thing is this. Obviously, if you have authentic footage, it's fine. The problem with authentic military footage is, let's be honest, nobody in the middle of an actual raid
it's usually fake,
is pulling out a video camera and going like, I'm going to film my legs getting blown off.
It's usually reenactment. Honestly.
So they were not necessarily reenactment, but propaganda videos. They were
definitely used for propaganda, but there were dedicated units, and their only job was to carry the camera with them. Yeah. A lot of them didn't have a high survival rate. A lot of them did land on the beaches in the first wave. Not a lot of that footage is used because when it was seen, it was like, how do we spin this for propaganda? Like, it's just, we're filming us getting butchered. And then they would use the footage of, the fourth wave. And when they're coming on the beaches, it looks a lot more
but that's
glorified.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, we've all seen the same 6 clips from World War II, and it's like, okay, you got a pack of soldiers marching in a line, you got a tank going, you got a guy sticking his head out of a bunker and firing off a few rounds at what you know is absolutely nothing on the other side of it. And that's all well and good because it is authentic footage, but I'd almost rather have the diagram because as a non-historian, you know, if you mention General MacArthur or General whoever the fuck, I don't know who that is. I don't know where he's standing. You mention a ship is attacking another ship. I don't know where in the ocean this lands. So having that visual, even if it's CGI'd or if it's just done by some guy, helps to an outsider. I'm talking
rather than leaving it to your own.
A historian who already has a very good mental picture of what's going on could probably follow that easier. But I need diagrams. I'm sorry. You know,
I have that mental picture in my head already, but seeing the diagram, it just, I don't know, it just resonates somehow.
But yeah, rather than the same old recycled World War III footage. Or World War II, I mean.
World War III is actually going to be happening in a week, so if you can hold off from that.
And that is the beauty of YouTube. It is a creative medium.
It's like an art. Yeah, you're putting something into a void.
Anyone can come up with YouTube. Not everyone is successful. Some people only get 20 views or that, but I don't think that should stop somebody from trying. And
some people only get who a certain amount of subscribers and likes and comments on their videos, and it would help their channel if more could come their way. So if you could go over to www.youtube.com, the Pacific War channel, like, subscribe, and leave a comment about my silly birds or something, and yeah.
Anyway, if you don't like him so much, you can Venmo me $50. That'll be fine.
Venmo.
I wasn't trying to plug you. I was just saying, like, YouTube, everyone knows what a YouTube rabbit hole is. You click one thing and it leads you to another, and before you know it, like a few hours later,
4 a.m. and you got to go to work in an hour.
You've gone down a rabbit hole and you just stumble across this great video of World War II, and it was not what you were expecting, and it just literally it was something you could not imagine coming up with, and because YouTube is all creative. Well, it should be all creative.
Here, I'll ask this too because I think this is relevant. And by the way, I'm only talking about 3 channels right now. There's hundreds of channels that cover this. Some channels just happen.
I love discovering new ones. Yeah.
Some channels just don't cover the Pacific War as much as others. Like if you were to say simplified history, sure, had a few episodes on the Pacific War, but not it's not overly done. Operations Room. Not exclusive to the Pacific War, but they've done a lot of episodes that are relevant to the Pacific War, so that's why I bring them up. Do you like comedy? Not do you like comedy? Do you need for the content you're consuming to be not just entertaining, but comedic also? Do you need the laughs?
See, that's where I'm like a 90-year-old man in a 35-year-old body. I don't need the never-ending memes to consume that.
Not never-ending memes, but anyways.
That would be simplified history.
If I want never-ending memes, I'm going to go to that type of channel. If I want educational, I'm going for educational.
Okay.
Not full, boring old guy reading a teleprompter, but...
No, because I'm grading this in my head, because, for example, for myself, I'm a little hit or miss. Sometimes I'll put a lot of comedy in an episode, depending on the episode. Sometimes I'll be very serious. For example, Kings and Generals, 100% serious. They don't mess around. They don't really do the comedy thing. They keep it very professional. They're very tight with what they do. Operations Room is similar to Kings and Generals. Yeah, they're pretty similar actually. Except Operations Room, their animations. Well, I like their style. Their style is a little bit different, and it's more grit to it. It's
very real time.
Yeah,
that's what I find they do that others do not.
Yeah.
In others, it's a flag gets knocked down or something of the sort, or a character gets crossed out. In Operations Room, you see shells landing, bullets flying, explosions going off, and then it's gruesome in a sense.
If you like documentary style, the World War II channel with Indy Nidell there, they do the classic approach, which is the documentary. So they do have less emphasis on the maps. The maps are there with the units, but they splice in actual footage. Similar to how I do it too. That's the classic kind of approach to this.
But again, I'm not saying I need a full map like a risk board that you can see everything in real time, but visual reminders of anything, of chains of command, of names of people, of family trees of whoever's relevant to
you
the
had just
thing.
mentioned Indy Idol, does that very well what you're saying right now, Justin. Yes. Especially, and it always comes back to me, his Stalingrad episode. Just like an hour long, but it's from start to finish, and you're watching just this fixed map of Stalingrad and all the pieces just moving on it, and it's very fluid.
Yeah.
But again, that's very similar to Operations Room, where you're watching it in real time.
Yeah. And then there's other channels a more obscure one, but I really like. It's History Dose, and it's two brothers who do the work, and one of them is an artist.
I don't think I'm familiar with them.
History Dose likes to do personalized, almost first-person narrative stories. He does a very intense story, and his brother's an artist who does the artwork. So it's all instead of maps, it's based off emotional kind of drama. And they've only done a few episodes that are remotely about the Pacific War. One's on a suicidal kamikaze pilot and what it would have been like. But that's just there's hundreds of YouTube channels that do this stuff.
Yeah.
But pitching to you a YouTube channel, I guess you're kind of more in the middle. You wouldn't, for example, Kings and Generals, when they do their maps, it's extravagantly complex. If you look at any of the episodes on New Guinea, it's all over the place. There's so much going on. I would almost say the Operations Room. I think it's kind of something that would fit your needs. Also, it's going to be 20 minutes or less, probably, and they'll do the episode justice.
They do have a shorter format, and I was about to say it's more beginner level, but it's just in the format itself. It's you're less required to know all the background names and that come in with previous knowledge.
No, you can jump in one episode without having to see others. Whereas Kings and Generals or the World War II channel, they both have this week by week format where
you're following a series.
You're jumping into the week of New Guinea. It's not the New Guinea campaign. It's that week of a few year campaign. It's kind of crazy.
In Operations Room, you can jump in as a squadron in the Battle of Bulge for the Americans defending there, and just in 14 minutes learn about this one squadron platoon in the Battle of the Bulge, and you just see waves of Germans coming in. You get the little tank icons, infantry icons, artillery coming in, and
But we're piecing together,
and you don't necessarily need to know the entirety of the Battle of the Bulge. You're able to enjoy that, not condensed, but this small part of the battle itself, which is part of a massive battle surround. I lost.
Wow, we just straight out of outer space there.
Like the meme.
I'm trying to sell it.
Sorry, guys. We're getting a little bit old, and these things happen.
I'm trying to sell it, and I knew I wasn't selling it, and then
But anyway, well,
it's okay.
So the first one was YouTube channels. Let's move on to the next format because it's the heaviest. I know this one is going to have the most banter because, arguably, I think it's still the most important. Movies
Ben
really.
Affleck, Josh Hartnett,
Oh man,
and
Kate
my
Beckinsale.
personal girlfriend.
Excuse your girlfriend.
Well, not officially, but yeah.
Does she know this?
You talking about Saving Private Ryan?
Kate Beckinsale. This goes all the way back to high school. So 25 years ago, my biggest crush in the world.
25 years ago? We're not that old.
How old are we?
Jeez.
Okay, well, a while ago, my biggest crush was Kate Beckinsale. Underworld came out, and that changed everything.
Well, someone's into BDSM.
I know it's not that channel,
Well,
but
to be fair, that's our age equivalent of kids with Scarlett Johansson now. Tight leather outfit, and thank you very much.
There's no comparison. Kate Beckinsale.
Superpowers, hot girl, tight leather outfit.
Kate Beckinsale.
It's like Halle
Underworld.
Berry's Catwoman. It's Underworld, and it's now
Halle Berry's
She beat Roundhouse.
Catwoman?
She killed Lycan. She would roundhouse kick Black Widow out of the room.
I'm just saying that's They're all the same fucking thing. Okay?
So-
Just three different generations.
Movies about the Pacific War. What do you look for if you were going to watch a war movie or if you're going to watch a historic movie? What are kind of the attributes that are important to you? Like, do you want it to be funny? You want it to be very historically accurate? Do you want it to be entertaining, action-packed? What?
I mean, if you're watching something historical, it has to have a little bit of gravitas to it.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a little bit, you have to feel that weight in your chest, which is, I'm not going to get into this debate, but where you get into older, better movies and newer age movies, which just suck. Royal fucking turd. So, you need to have a little, I don't mind them throwing a little joke, a little humor, a little something, because, let's be fair, it doesn't matter if you're talking about some war hero in the 50s. He had to laugh at some point.
But
he had to.
You want the something. Weight of reality, not
exactly.
I like how you mentioned like older film and newer films. It's like I find some of the older films lacked the weight of the reality. I'm thinking of specifically what's his name? American hero. Western star.
Oh, Wayne.
John Wayne.
John Wayne.
Yeah, and he was in everything. In every
yeah.
movie he was in, it was just like, you didn't get the sense of foreboding because it's John Wayne and he's invincible.
I mean, it was almost comical.
Yeah, but
I get what you're...
I'm not necessarily talking about historical realism here, though, because they're to sell a movie, you have to hype up certain events and, bend the truth a little bit just to make it more... appealing to the eye. So it's, especially being the non-historian, I'm not going to sit there and take points off because, this guy didn't actually like this guy or this guy didn't. Give me a break. It's more about categorizing the major events, but you can't do it too spoofy. There has to be that real feeling.
So I would say full spoof, probably Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. Full spoof on that. Is there anything... Okay, maybe the Indianapolis film with Nicolas Cage is more spoofy than that one, but...
I will give merits to the Indianapolis film, though. Because it did touch something that no one really had tried.
No one tried.
There was, like, some stupid parts in it, and that comes into the, romantic drama that they have to, throw in there. And there's no evidence for any of that. It's just, love stories sell... to, I guess, some people, I guess.
But you don't want...
And they did the same thing with Pearl Harbor.
You don't want, early 2000s comedic, Marvel movie humor in your kind of film.
Oh, fuck no. Not for historical.
Not for historical.
So... Well, I can't think of one Pacific War comedy,
I'm not saying full on comedies, but sometimes they spoof them up a little bit too much.
Yes, and I get what you're at, where they embellish the romance triangles and just the.
You're gonna keep bringing that up.
Exactly.
Okay, so he's talking about Pearl Harbor and the ridiculous premise.
But it is Kate Beckinsale. She is gonna have two guys fighting over. I get it. It's just we don't want to. I didn't go to see that movie.
You wanted to see the ships blow up. You didn't want to see this weird triangle love fest.
Because it's two other guys that shouldn't be there. It should be me.
You also didn't want to see modern ships blow up in some segments because he screwed up when he made that movie. But anyway,
I also don't want to see kids playing baseball 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and the Boy Scouts on the hill. It's what time did you think this happened, Michael? But anyways, that's Pearl Harbor, the movie. We're not going to talk about that.
Well, just to bring it back to the YouTube for a second, one of the channels I love is History Buffs, and he does a review.
Yeah, he does a great. Yeah.
He does a review of Tora Tora Tora. I'm not going to say anything about that movie yet, but he does mention Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, and he makes the comment on it is over patriotic and
it's up to the 9.
This is a Sunday rise of dawn and kids are out playing baseball, selling Girl Guide cookies, and
there's a Japanese fighter pilot so low to the baseball team, he's screaming at the kids to run off.
I will say this though, I'm gonna add a little caveat to this. What I'm speaking of is exclusively for movies that are marketed as historical.
Yeah, of course.
Meaning, if something is made to be fiction, you know, I'm sorry, but I grew up in that era. Full Metal Jacket is like...
Yeah. Oh, well, I had on my list something else that's fiction as hell.
Yeah, but like Arlie Emery's performance, you want to talk about humor, is rest in peace to that guy, because that's one of the greatest movie scenes of all time.
Yeah, okay.
But that's obviously not a movie that's made to be historical.
So
you know, I don't know how historically accurate Schindler's List is or things like that.
That's accurate. Yeah.
But these movies have gravitas. They have that.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
It's like
you want a little grit then to it, because you're saying gravitas. You want a little grit to it. Then I'm looking for a modern movie. Hacksaw Ridge. I don't know if you saw that.
I did actually. It wasn't bad.
It's pretty good.
And getting a performance from Vince Vaughn, who's known
Vince
for
Vaughn's
his...
pretty good at acting.
He's known for his comedy first.
Yeah.
And he's done great dramatic roles. Like American Psycho 2, which one was it? Where he was the serial killer. And he was like, he's capable of having an acting range. And
truth though, that he hasn't really done it much. He did an okay job, and I mean, even that one went into the humor a little bit. But at the same time, if a scrawny little church boy walked into the U.S. military, I'd expect they'd poke fun at him back in those days.
But his dad is Agent
Only thing
Smith.
about that movie is I cannot get over Agent Smith being his dad. That's something that...
Oh, here's a good question for... In terms of a Pacific War movie, are you more interested in ground warfare, soldiers and Marines, or are you more interested in ships fighting? Or airplanes?
I mean...
I think it was...
Any of, but that's the other thing I was going to say where I differ, is it's not necessarily just combat. It doesn't have to be bombs and explosions, but as long as it's meaningful. I just don't want... I don't want 5 hours of Senate meetings and 6 hours of surrender negotiation. And it's as long as everything that's being shown on screen has some kind of significance, it's fine.
Because like Oppenheimer, for example, the film that recently came out.
Yeah, which we both saw.
Yeah, that would be more on the lines of... I mean, it's a very serious movie, but it's Senate meetings. I mean, there's a whole other story plot going on with the characters and stuff. But it does hold gravitas, but I mean, if you desire to have combat at least in your movie, then it's obviously not up there.
Yeah. See, Oppenheimer was an interesting case. I did enjoy that quite a bit. Again, I don't know how historically accurate.
Pretty good.
But again, what I liked about that is, again, talking about, yes, a lot of boring Senate meetings and talking and this and that, but everything had meaning. And if you paid attention, it was all setting up to the fact of...
Yes.
Oppenheimer being suspected as a terrorist and as an opposition to the U.S. government then. That's not at all what I expected and what was kind of... The way they previewed the movie, you wouldn't have thought it was that at all. But I love the actors involved in that project. I thought the movie was pretty good. Yeah. Is it like a 10 out of 10 banger? No. But I thought it was well done.
I'm going to let Ian pitch one movie because it's a personal favorite. But to gear towards what he's going to be pitching... Do you favor practical effects or CGI? Given the practical effects are good.
That's perfect, because I was going to bring something up right now, just before we get into that question. How familiar are you with like the golden era of military movies? And it was like late 60s, 70s, and that's when like the original Midway came out.
The bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah, it was like...
These are like real old.
Bridge on the River Kwai, I know because it's a
famous
absolute
film. Yes,
a bridge too far, and this is when like these were the biggest actors of the day.
Anthony
were
Hopkins,
all a part of these films. Like this was the Marvel films of the time.
Yeah. Are you into
not the Hunt for Red October?
That was, I think that was like the 90s or something. And
Yeah,
also that was Tom Clancy and. Good
speaks
film,
Russian,
by the way. Better book.
Of course.
But
I'm
other than Bridge on the River Kwai, which I know just because I know it and it's so famous, and I have seen it probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I can hear that stupid whistling in my fucking head.
Yeah, that's classic.
But But I don't really know anything about that era of military movies.
I think-
As far as Craig's question and CGI
Yeah,
goes,
so going into...
I don't really care. I mean, Craig and I just finished watching the new Godzilla -1 movie, which was done on a very cheap budget with some
did you guys
horrible
go to that
CGI, but it was
Wasn't
actually a
horrible.
pretty
It
good
looked
movie.
great. I
It was
loved it.
$14 million.
20.
No, but
No,
that's what I'm saying. Compared to what you'd put in a U.S. blockbuster,
Oh, it took a shit.
this
on
was
Hollywood.
this was like here.
Have
Let
you
me
seen
grab.
this- have you
let
seen
me
the
grab the
CGI
crumpled
for-
fiver out of my pocket and put it there, kind of CGI.
Is that for my tips?
But at the same time, the movie was good.
Yeah.
So I don't really care
Okay.
what they use. It's
So-
more about the movie actually drawing me in.
If we were pitching similar movies, I'm not going to use Pearl Harbor. We'll say like the recent Midway film, because it has a Pearl Harbor scene at the beginning, and then the classic Tora
Honestly,
Tora
I do
Tora.
love what they did in that film, where you had three big
battles.
I would say like
It was
Doolittle's
Pearl
raid
Harbor,
is one of the
Doolittle's,
battles.
yeah. Well, Coral Sea's kind of in there. It's a little tiny bit. But
No, well, actually, that's true. Yes,
it's a tiny moment. But Midway is the big battle. But Tora 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 is kind of a beloved movie when it comes to Pacific War films because it was practical effects, a lot of which accidents happen on scene, and you can literally see guys running from burning aircraft.
When they're blowing up the plane on the airfield as it's landing, and it's supposed to stay on the airfield, but instead it diverts into a row of other fighters that are just lined up there. And it's rigged to explode at a certain time. And it runs into this line of fighters. And then it keeps going. And you have all these, like, actors running away.
For their lives. Because it's literal explosions.
Literally are running for their lives. And one of them is, like, 6 inches away from being clipped by the wing. And you see them all, like, panicking and scurrying. And then it blows up. And then all the other planes blow up, which wasn't supposed to happen. And... like, it's all on film, and, like, they were this close to having, 12 people dead on set, but you don't know that as the uninitiated. You're watching, it's like, wow.
It's one of those movie things that got left in because you don't really realize
it's amazing footage that they left in. And there's, like, 2 big accidents that are in the film. It's a film from the 1970s.
Okay.
But even at that, and they do use miniatures for some of the warships when there's like attacks. It's the 70s, but it still stands out.
It's the golden era of military films, and it's Pearl Harbor as it should be
From the Japanese perspective. Well, half of it.
It's dual.
It's there was an American team and there was a Japanese team. So the Japanese film crew did the Japanese segments and the American did their own.
Okay.
And it's one of the best Pacific War films ever made. But
and it's very historically accurate, and it's not fluffed up. It's just to the point. This is.
But on a
Pearl Harbor.
On a similar note, 2 different teams. There were 2 films that Clint Eastwood helped produce. It was Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Father.
Yeah.
Flags of Our Father was the American interpretation of the battles.
Most people don't even know Letters of Iwo Jima exists.
And it's a better movie. Letters from Iwo Jima was the Japanese perspective.
Especially the landing scene. They just did it better.
And historical accuracy, up the roof. Very, very well done. As far as CGI is concerned, maybe for the ships, you kind of see that. But it's a war movie on the ground mostly, so it's mostly people and stuff. It's beautifully filmed. I'd honestly say if you're willing to watch 2 different movies, because they both actually give you 2 different sides of the same story, more or less.
Right.
It's a very unique take on something, because you don't actually see that often. There's 2 movies that are giving 2 different views.
I remember one time, and obviously you viewers are going to know this, we were in Brian's basement one time, and Letters of Iwo Jima had just come out, and I rented it and made Brian watch it, and Brian the whole time was just like, I don't get it. It's like, and the movie is literally mostly action, but there's a lot of backstory to I forget his name, but the Japanese general of the island.
Yeah, Ken Watanabe.
And Ken Watanabe had played him in a brilliant role, and it's a lot of like this backstory is happening, his time at Harvard in the U.S. and his experience with being around Americans, and it's to add gravitas to the situation that to him none of this war is lost on him. He doesn't want to be killing Americans. He's doing it for his country, but his best friends, like he was best man to an American at his wedding while he was in the States. Like he loves a lot of Americans, consider a lot of them his best friends, and then it shows him galvanizing this to the end defense. And for those who know, Iwo Jima is absolutely brutal for both sides.
It's one of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific War, if not World War II.
Iwo Jima, Letters from Iwo Jima really shows it at times.
Yeah, it's very gritty.
Well, you see, that's a movie that I would definitely watch today. I remember when it came out. I remember hearing about it, but was a lot younger back then. History definitely wasn't on the top of my list.
And it was really overshadowed by Flags of Our Fathers. Like everyone saw that one.
Yeah, but I wasn't. Even back then, again, I wasn't on the big USA yeehaw fucking hype train.
That would have been
Flags of Our Fathers.
Flags of Our Fathers. I found that movie was the droll, very boring one in comparison.
Yeah, well, it talked into like the U.S. Bond tour, like how you had to raise the funds back home.
It was a war bond film.
The pressures of being a war hero and all that. I mean, that's all. It's fine, and it was a good film too. It's just Letters of
Iwo Jima. But not even in that film they didn't even mention it once that the flag was replaced.
Psst. Hey you ever hear me talk about some great Pacific War movie or documentary like Pearl Harbor Minute by Minute over on Netflix and feel the urge to watch it for yourself? Uh-oh, you live in Japan and your Netflix doesn't have it? Must suck to be you.
Sucks to be me right now.
Oh wow, season 4 of Demon Slayer is out. Oh wait, I can't watch it on Canadian Netflix, but it's over on Japan Netflix? Whatever will I do?
Oh no.
Being blocked from regional content? With private internet access, you too can watch Demon Slayer Season 4 by switching your IP address to Japan.
Yes! Hell yeah!
Why stop with Japan? With private internet access, you can change your IP address to over 84 different countries and every single US state, giving you access to region-restricted content all over the world.
Nice.
Many websites and services like Netflix are only accessible depending on your physical location, but private internet access helps you overcome these restrictions. Think about it. Without private internet access, it's like paying for a TV series and missing out on the latest season. Shots fired, Demon Slayer on Canadian Netflix.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Ever fear people are gonna find your Google searches?
Banzai! Banzai! Banzai!
FBI, open up!
Private internet access makes sure that those Google searches remain a buried secret, as private internet access encrypts your internet access and has a no logs policy. Think you're safe with the local coffee shop's free Wi-Fi? No, you are certainly not. Private internet access gives you more privacy features than any other software and real-time protection from malware and trackers, giving you peace of mind knowing those Google searches remain seen by you and you alone. Private internet access has a no-log policy that they've defended in court, which means they are not storing any of your browsing data. Hey, are you like me using different devices under one household? Private internet access is available on all platforms and protects an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. I personally use private internet access to unblock movies and TV series from all across the globe, and I sleep easier writing scripts for my YouTube channel and others knowing my data is secure. Look, this is a no-brainer. Sign up with my link in the description of this video to get 83% off, plus 4 months for free, so it ends up being only around $2 per month. Signing up for private internet access is risk-free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and 24/7 customer support is available. So don't forget to click www.piavpn.com/the Pacific War Channel, and a big thanks to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video.
They
completely
glossed over that.
Well, because it's not that it's embarrassing. It's kind of weird that it's the most iconic photo probably of even World War II, not just the Pacific War, is the raising of the flag in Iwo Jima. Yeah. And technically it was the second time raised.
Yeah, it was the second time, and it was I forget who. It was the Secretary of the Navy, I believe, was on one of the ships, and he's like, "I want that flag." And the soldiers had already taken it down, and they had gone off in their business. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to drill on about that.
For the normie, like if you were trying to get your normie friend to get into the Pacific War, the Pacific War is. There's so many movies on multiple events about it, and we haven't even named most of them. Like I had on my list, you have Wind Talkers with Nicolas Cage. I wouldn't say it's it's a little goofier. It's a little more niche. We said Hacksaw Ridge. I had the Final Countdown on my list because I just wanted to troll it. The Final Countdown is just a hilariously dumb movie where the USS Nimitz from the 1980s goes back in time just before Pearl Harbor, and they don't do anything, and it's a terrible movie. Don't watch it. It could have been a great movie.
I mean, several Americans... Nope. Okay, one Japanese guy died.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
They could have... The Zero pilot, actually two, because there was 2 Zeros, shot down the first Zero, second Zero lands in the ocean. They pick him up, bring him up to the carrier. Through negligence, they stop paying attention to him, and he gets a gun and then kills several Marines on board, and then they shoot him, and they're like, no, we can't interfere, and then they go back in time. Forward. And nothing... it really, like...
A movie about a super aircraft carrier from the 1980s goes back in time, could single-handedly destroy... probably the entire Japanese Navy.
Well, we did.
And they don't do anything.
We did have an episode about that in the past, did we not? With my brother Eric. Like, what would have been the reality? I know Eric was like, oh, superior numbers, the Japanese would have overwhelmed the Nimitz.
Absolutely not. No. How many missiles did the U.S. Nimitz?
Just the point defense guns on the Nimitz itself, like
the Nimitz itself, its anti-aircraft power would probably knock out 200 and whatever that they went through. It would be ridiculous. Sorry, and you know what? At Blinkoff's Battlegrounds, he has done this episode, and yeah, they would win. But we're gonna move on from movies because honestly, it's the heaviest of all the formats.
Before that, what's your favorite World War II movie? When I asked like the
does Inglourious Bastards count?
Technically, I guess.
I don't know. World War II is
usually.
I mean, I guess Schindler's List is up there because it's a classic. But again, I feel like it's not that. I feel like it's World War II is a very tough one.
Most people answer with Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, fuck that. Fuck it.
It's a great movie. What's wrong with that?
No. And I'm like, Tom Hanks is probably one of my favorite actors of all time. And fuck Saving Private Ryan.
Damn, okay, you heard it here first, folks.
I didn't expect the level of hate, but...
No. Not a bad movie,
but at the same time, I don't think it deserves. I love that you have a differing view because most people say Saving Private Ryan. Those who are not like big World War II like aficionados.
But again, that's another thing. If you ask me to name 10 World War II movies, I probably can't. I probably can't name 8. You know. Yeah. I have movies that revolve around that time period or movies that may refer to Nazis. But again, I'm not counting Indiana Jones movies where they fight Nazis. I'm not counting Hellboy where they fight Nazis.
That's a documentary.
You know, it's like actual World War II movies. I don't know how many I can name. I can tell you it's not Saving Private Ryan. Schindler's List is definitely up there. But
we're going to have to get you to watch Tora Tora Tora.
No problem.
Tora is amazing.
For sure.
No problem.
All right. Moving on to the third format. I think this is going to be more difficult because I don't think that Justin would have read any books about the Pacific War. But
many.
Similar to movies, it's identical to movies. You can balance entertainment. You can balance historical accuracy. You can balance comedy, for that matter, I guess. If you wanted to read something about the Pacific War, or just an event in the Pacific War, how long would you want the book to be? Would you like it to be about 250
half a page?
half a page. That's gonna be a hard challenge.
Oh,
But let's say in the format of like 250 pages or less, or a big 800 something book.
that was my favorite.
250 or less.
Give me
See, this is a dumb question.
He's trying to say, get me the cliff notes. You know, send me to YouTube. Send me to a YouTube in 15 minutes that condenses that book.
Or would you rather a book on summarizing the Pacific War, or would you like a book that's a specific event during?
It would have to be a specific event.
Okay.
But again, you know, for anybody who knows me, reading assignments are not my forte.
No, fair enough.
All the classic books we had to read in high school, I did not read a single, and I mean a single fucking one.
Of Mice and Men, you didn't read it?
Oh, with...
And I think it was like, we had like Glass Menagerie.
Of Mice and Men, I probably made it about a quarter way through it with Lenny and what's his name.
We're going to go to see the rabbits, aren't we? Yeah.
Exactly. Even that, I've seen the movie more times with Lieutenant Dan there.
You had to choke her, you stupid retard. You had to.
Oh, bomb, man. You're going to put the R word on the
I didn't do it. But
it's...
Cancel this guy, please.
But, no, that's the whole point, is I've never been good at engaging with reading over a long period of time.
No, fair enough.
I can read an article about something, or a short thing, but to say I'm going to read an 800-page book on General MacArthur or
really
Ulysses S. Grant or whoever
Yeah.
is not
So
my
I have a lot of books, and I call them my bathroom books.
That's fucking weird, but right?
I know exactly what he's
but
about to say.
They're like encyclopedias, and you open and it's like every battle of World War II, and then they're like condensed into like 2 pages, 3 pages max with maps and everything, and you're just like, oh, you get this big book, and I think that would be. I won't say more along your speed, but more along your devotion and interest. Like same way you said you would ingest YouTube in a smaller format, like you wouldn't necessarily deep dive. And if you're going to read an 800-page book about a certain like battle or subject, like that's a deep dive.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, I think like when it comes to that. Sorry, I didn't think about it, but like I should have brought a couple of those books with me because I like.
You know what?
I can tell you right now, Ian. I'm a big dude. I eat a lot of food, but no matter how many shits I take, I am not finishing that book. It's not happening.
Okay, you know.
Well, it's there, so when I'm in the washroom doing it, and it's like I just pull up a different battle and I'll read it, and it's like.
Here I can actually simplify this. So let me direct this actually towards the audience itself. You are a viewer, and you want. Well, sorry, I'm drinking while I'm doing this terribly. I got a list of books here, and I broke them down by like. They're very different in nature. So you want to get your buddy involved in the Pacific War. Now, if you want the big summarization of the Pacific War, I think on the longer side, you can do Ian Toll's trilogy, which I think you recently read, right?
Oh, yeah. Brilliant.
It's heavier on the naval side than the ground side.
Which I appreciate, like I said.
If you like warships.
I'm a Navy guy. Like, I
Ian
love
Toll,
everything Navy. Both theaters of the war, and Ian W. Toll, like,
he's a Navy guy, yeah, for
yeah.
sure. And don't want to besmirch him. He over dramatizes some things, and there is some historical accuracies that I found. But it is one of the greatest series. It's very new. It's probably the hottest thing for the Pacific War right now, as far as literature is concerned. And it's long. It's three books that I think. How many pages are they each? 5?
Roughly 8 to.
Okay, they're longer.
8 to 1,000.
Yeah.
I think one of them is 1,100.
If you want the old classical book that everyone's kind of read, The Pacific War by John Costello. It's one of the first ones I ever read. It's a general summarization from an American point of view. Tells you kind of the A to Z. It's kind of a staple. It's been around for a while. Not too in depth. If you want a lot of depth, but it's a little bit more advanced, Hirohito's War by Francis Pike. he wrote after Hirohito had died, so he has some of the personal notes that implicate the emperor in decisions that were made during the war. Because all the books before 1991 don't acknowledge or know about the fact that Hirohito ordered a lot of the things that happened during the war.
He got away with a lot.
Exactly. So it's, in my opinion, one of the best Pacific War books out there.
I mean, the film Emperor, we talked about that in the previous podcast. That didn't happen today. Tommy Lee Jones as MacArthur. Should they try Emperor Hirohito?
Yeah, they talked about him.
It came down to it, whether he was guilty or not, but can we afford to hang the Emperor of Japan? Like, what will that do to the Japanese people?
Yeah, well, it did.
And it was gauged in the end. It's best to keep him around. They will be a more subservient people rather than having to station a massive amount of Americans to basically continue the overlordship in a sense.
Ian's actually, I know you've read this book. If you're very interested in the Battle of Midway, one of the greatest books of all time is Shattered Sword.
I would say it's one of my favorite books I've ever read.
Yeah, Shattered Sword. Yeah.
Not only is it like so in depth in in detail of the battle itself, but everything that led up to it. Like individual officers within the battle, the regimes of training.
It's everything. They went to the nuts and bolts of everything.
And then at the back of the book, you have pictures of everything, and it's just like
everything Midway. It is kind of the perfect Midway book.
Like if you want to become an expert on Midway, read that book. It's basically everything that you need is right there.
If you want personal accounts and the really gritty information, Helmet for My Pillow by Robert Leckie. That's more of it's an oral history book, so you're dealing primary sources and kind of like accounts from Marines and soldiers for that matter.
But I must say at this point, the point of the podcast was what would get the normie.
Right, so I can tell.
I'm just looking at Justin, and he's just
I know.
Let
me get through the books.
Saying it right there.
Yeah.
So the books itself are like.
But this is it.
Like
He's not interested in that.
So my best offering was my bathroom readers, and I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, I know I keep saying that. So there. What was the name?
Did Dr. Seuss write a World War II book? I'd read that one.
He wrote propaganda.
They're like visual encyclopedias. They're very easy to digest. I think ask for a book that would be more.
It's hard to get somebody. I mean, unless he was an avid reader. Like, let's say if he was an avid reader.
Well, those are the kind of books that I leave in my washroom. Some people leave magazines and Uncle John's comedy books that. I leave World War II books like that, and
Yeah, I just got a few more I'll just get through. If you wanted a Japanese perspective, there's an older book. It's a little dated by Saburo Inaga. It's just titled The Pacific War. Gives the Japanese. It's kind of an apology as to why it all happened. He's kind of honestly blaming America for some things. And one of the most famous books from the Pacific War is With the Old Breed by Eugene Sledge. So it's a primary account of a Marine that actually was very famous.
And there's a name, Eugene Sledge.
Yeah. One of the greatest Marines. He told what he actually saw, and he said things that were atrocious that were done by Americans to the Japanese. He was one of the first people to ever just kind of acknowledge what war was really like, and that it was not heroic. It was dirty, horrifying, and grim. And it's a great read. It's a very good book. Let's move past the books.
That should be a good segue into one of the next chapters. You were going to say music at one point.
Oh, you want to go into music?
Well, because
I only have one band. There are multiple bands. But
so you said Eugene Sledge, and
we're all fans.
When it comes to World War II music,
okay, we're all fans of Sabaton. Okay, so all three of us here listen to Sabaton. Now, Sabaton has to this date, although I haven't really heard much of from the newest album, but the Pacific War related songs that I can think of is Midway, Nuclear Attack, and The Ballad of Bull. Is there any others? In the newer album, I don't know if there is, but those are the 3 Pacific War-esque songs. And you know what? A song gets you kind of like geared into it. Like if you, I like Shiroyama, the song, and that got me into learning about the Battle of Shiroyama. And I did an episode on my channel about it, The Last Stand of the Samurai. But like if you listen to Ballad of Bull, that's a good example. You might not know it listening to the song, but it's a song about this heroic Australian guy who had lifted a bunch of Americans out of a war zone. And they all survived because of him. And he was just a really strong dude. And he had a really weird after the war life because he punched an officer, did a lot of weird shit, and got kicked out of the army. But anyways,
Okay.
yeah, he had problems. But anyways, harrowing account. He was a bit shell shocked from the war.
Happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Not the only one.
But I can't think of any other band.
I thought they did a song about E.G. Sledge. I might be wrong on that.
Maybe I haven't listened to latest.
I can't think of them, but I'm
That's
positive
why-
there's other
That's
bands
why I tried to
that
make
do
that
like-
segue.
Maybe not specifically war, but historical stuff. There's for sure.
There's
But
a-
obviously, we're all also metalheads, so kind of helps.
And I mean, we got to let's gloat over this. I don't. You weren't there.
No,
but
I wasn't there.
the
I
first
heard
time
this-
Sabaton was on the continent of North America was in Quebec, and we got to see them at Foofs.
No, it wasn't Foofs.
Not only
It
did
was,
you guys get to see them,
it was at Corona Theater.
Oh shit! No, the first one was Corona Theater, but the second time was Foofs.
not
we saw
only
both.
not only did you get to see them,
Eric got the picture with them, but at Foofs we got to sit at the table with them for a second.
And well, was that the same night where they mentioned Eric's little dick?
Yep. Yeah. Joachim. Sorry for fans who know.
He called his own dick.
So
little,
for fans who know Sabaton, Joachim, the lead singer of Sabaton, our friend was screaming in the front row for him to sing a certain song, and he didn't want to sing it, so he said he was going to shove his little dick through his forehead to your brother. It was awesome. One of the greatest moments of my life.
now this is a thing where
Some
again,
would be
you got-
offended, and to my brother, it was honor.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
But see, like this is something where, just as an example, right? And this is perfect segue into what we're talking about now. Is that I've always been a metalhead. I don't hate other kinds of music. There's a lot of other stuff I listen to, but rock and metal is kind of the peak for me.
Smooth jazz.
No, Yaz flute. Okay, Ron Burgundy Yaz flute is like elite. But I only got into Sabaton a few years ago. I had heard some of their stuff before, and it was kind of okay. But obviously, the historical references and what they were talking about was just
Over your head, yeah.
beyond over my head. And recently, when I heard some of what I consider their best songs, and kind of realized, okay, it's not just about the history. These guys are musically fucking talented too.
They got good riffs.
And
I know a lot of people don't like Sabaton.
And again, I'm not.
They find them.
Again, I don't go look up details and facts from every Sabaton song.
But
that
a lot
I
of
like.
people do.
But
Yeah.
I've learned some historical things because of them.
Yeah, that's what they're really like. Who else does that? Honestly, is there another band that forces you to look up things, like even if it's on Wikipedia? Sabaton makes people look up history.
They really research their song.
Yes, yeah, they're
No,
great.
like it's
By the way, they have a YouTube channel. I forgot to say with Indian Idol.
yeah,
Yeah, so you could, if you're into that.
which is great. Like if you find a song that you really love, and then it's basically a backstory of the song, of the historical content of said song.
Yeah.
And yeah, there really is no comparison today. Like, oh, I mean, Lady Gaga, like, is she putting the same effort in her songs?
I don't want to go there, but Lady Gaga is actually.
I know you don't
renowned.
want to go there, so I went there.
Look,
I find like Sabaton, they're true artists. They're geniuses of their craft.
Yeah.
And
still the only ones I've ever heard cover a Rammstein
easy
song
to
and
listen
do
to.
a fucking good job of it.
True. Very true. Let's jump into this one, because for the life of me, I couldn't really find many options. TV series? No, TV series.
oh, okay, yeah.
Now, everybody's like, oh, this is the Pacific. Obviously, it's going to be the Pacific. If you were trying to get somebody into the Pacific War, the best, by far, even internationally, is the Pacific. The only other thing I could think of that's Pacific-esque for TV series would be something so niche neither of you would ever watch it. I unfortunately watch these things for my own work on YouTube. It's
Days of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives, of course.
Bold and the Beautiful.
Bold and the Beautiful. Why would you know that? Anyways,
RuPaul's Drag Race.
yeah, well, that'd be more entertaining than this. It's Chinese TV series on the Pacific War, and they're weird.
I used to have to watch weird Korean soap operas. And
No, Korean soap operas have nothing on Chinese TV series about the Pacific War. There are series where a guy will be eating like a bun, and then it'll be a grenade, and he'll blow someone. It's so dumb. Like, anyways, the Chinese the market
did you have
for
to eat around the grenade?
I don't
the
know.
grenade
I
work?
if I can, I'll animate the this clip. But it's insane. There's too many of them. There's like 100 shows about the Pacific War from China. They're so goofy. They make the Japanese look like, I mean, they were demonic in a lot of ways, but
Baffling
literal
idiots.
demons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're like smiling like
Of
murder,
course.
you know. Anyways, but The Pacific by Steven Spielberg, who did Band of Brothers. You must have. Did you see Band of Brothers?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so The Pacific is literally just the other version for the Pacific War,
Right.
and it's the best. It's amazing.
It's-
It got me into the Pacific War myself.
It's not okay. So I know everyone's done it before. I'm just gonna make a quick my personal comparison of Band of Brothers and the Pacific. I'll always be Band of Brothers was better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was the
Yeah, but
original,
ours
but
are
Band of
the-
Brothers really puts you in the shoes of the one company where the Pacific kind of throws you around in 3 different units, and it's harder to gravitate to all the characters. Whereas Band of Brothers, like, you're with them from start to finish.
Yeah.
The Pacific throws you around, and then the characters become less important to you. And
You don't even realize Eugene Sledge is the character. Like, if you weren't really... Anyway, yeah. It's not about the characters, it's more about...
it is the
But
the
let's be
battles
honest,
itself.
you in a movie you have to kind of consolidate everything into this power 2 hours of every detail is important. Where in a TV series, they almost have to add fluff just to not make the episode last 2 hours and then the series is over.
And,
So
yeah.
I can understand why the movie would feel more impactful. I haven't seen the TV series. I've seen the movie.
Like both being TV series made by the same guys, and they just like they kind of had different creative directions.
Yes,
no,
they're very different.
I'm not putting Pacific down. Just like and this is on my own fault. This is me. When I went into watching the Pacific for the first time, I was expecting Band of Brothers in the Pacific,
me too. Yeah.
and I was disappointed because it wasn't. Watching it recently from a more mature, responsible standpoint, it was like, yeah, this is good. Like, I just had a different point of view when I saw it
came
the first
out
time.
when it came out. I think we were about 18.
Yeah.
We were 18 years old, and it was the same conversation. We were expecting Band of Brothers, and I remember it was, if not that it was disappointing, it was different. Like it wasn't
it
what
was
we
different,
expected.
which is good because they didn't just try to
But
rehash something.
the thing is, you watch both now today, and the reality of war is much more apparent with the Pacific because they didn't hold the punches. It's horrible.
Is gruesome, and you get that sense of foreboding and like
Dreary. It's just grim. There's waiting
that
to
one
die.
episode when it's right after Pelalalu, the airfield. Like it's still in that campaign, and they're up in the hills, and they have a captain with them who's been there like since.
Yeah, he's been
Since
there
the
from
beginning,
day one,
and
he's the morale
and-
booster
and
guy. Yeah.
He's so like he's not shook by anything, and he has a sergeant major as well who isn't phased by anything because this guy was in World War I as well. Like but
you know what?
the captain gets shot by a sniper, and you see the sergeant major just break down, and it's like
Honestly, for this category,
that whole episode was
for this category, they're really, for an English speaker, there's no other option. You're just going to give them the Pacific. So it kind of just inherently, if you want to get somebody,
even thinking about like, even if you broadened it to like World War II and stuff, I can't think of that many TV series that.
Well, there's
obviously more.
There's a brand new Steven Spielberg third series about the bomber campaign, but it's a European one.
And it's being released on Apple, I believe.
Yeah, it's coming out very soon. Going to be watching that.
It's the same producers in that, Tom Hanks and that.
It's going to be probably amazing. To move into another category let's do like completely left field, because I know this will be a quick one. I don't, you read a bit of manga, I think.
A little bit, yeah. Not as much as I used to.
Have you ever read a manga? Okay. So, obviously, he's not the clientele to even pitch a manga to, but if you were to pitch a Pacific War manga, there's a shit ton on the Pacific War, but they're pretty dated when it comes to this. I think a classic, which was made into a film, is Barefoot Gen. You've seen the film. Barefoot Gen, it's the one where it's the nuclear blast and the kid is trying to survive afterwards.
Grave of the Fireflies?
Fallout?
No, that's...
It's similar, but no.
I don't think I've seen that one. I've been meaning to, but I can't find it.
It's a little bit older than Grave of the Fireflies, but it follows the nuclear blast of Hiroshima at I think it's Nagasaki, actually. And then it's a kid trying to survive after nuclear blast, loses his parents and everything. It's brutal. There was a manga series very famous. The Wind Rises is about the creator of the Zero fighter. If you know the story of his name was Jiro. He was creating what was like the best aircraft at the very beginning of the war. It gets pretty outdated by the end of it. And it's kind of like this romanticized, he was just an engineer. He wasn't in for, for like the war aspect. He just wanted to build something beautiful. And it's a manga series just saying, engineering stuff.
Well, it's like the Russians with the T-34 and the Kalashnikov. They just wanted to build something great.
Sure. And the last thing I had on my list is a really weird one, and it's identical to the movie we were talking about, The Final Countdown. It's called Zipang, and it's about
yeah, you told me about this.
a modern it's so infuriating. It's the exact same movie. It's a manga, and there was an anime too. A Japanese destroyer from like the mid 2000s gets transported just before the Battle of Midway, and they decide to do nothing. So they don't fight at the Battle of Midway, even though they could definitely change the outcome of the war. And the whole the whole manga is just them,
the radar capability. Well,
everything they have. Everything.
I can imagine like the first 5 minutes of this engagement, like the destroyer's just sitting there.
Japanese destroyers
sees everything.
Yeah, Japanese destroyers, some of the most.
It's just by giving intel to the Kyudo Butai where the Americans are. Okay, game changer right there.
Change the whole war.
Yeah.
And instead, the whole manga... Anyways, I won't go into it. The whole manga is them actually battling against telling people about what's going to happen.
That brings up a lot of philosophical questions. Would the Japanese, at this time, want the Japanese of the past to win? Yeah,
that's the point of the manga. So the point of the manga is it's the question of, do you cast aside what was the bad part of your society that had brought you to ruin? And they inevitably do that, and they don't get involved. Anyway.
So this is not even about the war. This is a big morality.
Yeah. Anyways, but it's for history lovers, they love it. Let's move into the category that we're all familiar with, and we've all probably played certain video games that have to do with the Pacific War. Off the top of your head, can you think of any Pacific War games that you played?
Well, there was a Call of Duty game where I shot Nazi zombies, but that...
And Japanese. It's Call of Duty World at War.
Mm-hmm.
The campaign was...
pretty good, yeah.
No. Nazi zombies all the way. Just fuck the campaign. Nazi zombies from 8 p.m. until 4 a.m.
People knocked on that game. I love the multiplayer. I loved online play with that. Bouncing Betties,
Modern Warfare... And then World of War came out,
and
World of War was way better. Had a better environment, better maps. It was just
so much fun. The MP4. You're playing there was gimpy guns
STG 44.
I mean, look, I can't say if I've played video games that are specified to the Pacific War, but World War II and Pacific War era games, anywhere from Access to Allies to Battlefield to Call of Duty.
World of Warships, sir, which we play together.
World of Warships, World of Tanks, World of Planes, World of fucking
Axes
trucks,
War Thunder. I've been trying to get you guys to play War Thunder.
I played War Thunder. I don't like it as much as World of Warships.
But just saying, like, I've played them all, but it's not like you're going to learn anything from those games.
Axis and Allies, I guess you can learn a bit.
You can absolutely learn something from World War Ships.
Yeah, you know what you can learn from Axis and Allies? That
What
Italy can
what the
take
ship
over
looks
fucking
like.
Great
I
Britain.
love what
That's what you can learn from
Fair.
Axis and Allies.
Fair.
getting that cross section, like finally unlocking the Yamato and being able to inspect the ship at its like minute details.
Yeah, but that's more for like the quote unquote the tanky kind of guy. Like, you know, the guys who want to like look at the technology aspect of it. Maybe you're not into that.
I love just looking at the ship itself. Like
a game I didn't play, so I played it, but I wasn't fascinated with it. But I know you probably liked it. Medal of Honor: Rising Sun. That was a famous Pacific War game.
And okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's still I have such fond memories of it, and like I was young at the time, like 11, 12 when it came out. This was
2001?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was back in the golden era of World War II video games.
Well, I mean, Call of Duty 1, 2, 3.
Multiplayer wasn't like online multiplayer was not
exist.
a thing. I know Gen Z. What? How did you guys?
We all just played at each other's houses with
split screen.
Yeah, split screen.
So what this game did, Call of Duty started off as a single player game. And so did Medal of Honor. And well, no one hears about Medal of Honor anymore.
That's good. It's done.
But Medal of Honor was before Call of Duty and started the whole World War II video game craze.
Yeah, no, Medal of Honor was a big punching game back in the day. They just lost to Call of Duty eventually.
Big campaigns. The game, like you would sell the game as campaign first.
Oh, by the way.
So Medal of Honor Rising Sun had this brilliant World War II Pacific War campaign. There were missions where you're flying Corsairs, F4U Corsairs. There's missions where you're in a patrol boat firing firing your cannons and like launching torpedoes. I think it was like you're in the Battle of Pearl Harbor or something. It was weird like that. It was one of the first missions.
Maybe it was a PT boat. Could have been Guadalcanal or something.
Yeah. Where,
I don't remember the game.
But honestly. Like it was a great 20-hour long campaign.
By the way, I just realized people are gonna kill me. Obviously Hearts of Iron 4, like for you, all you people out there, that's all you play, it's all you care about in this entire world. Yeah, duh. That is the go-to game for those who are insane people who love alternate history and want to like micromanage all these little things and have, I don't know, Zhang Zongchang win the war for China and all that crap. But yeah.
Is that the one where they have giant mech robots in World War
No, that's Red Alert 3. No, that's Command and Conquer, dude.
That's neither of them. No, there's... You know that... okay, this is the...
But Command and Conquer's hilarious, man.
I think Ian's thinking of Fortnite, but
it's a nudge. It's a foot. It's your toe into the water. The Pacific Wars. You play Call of Duty, World of War, or something.
So at the time, you have Star Fox and other games, but this game came out when it was somewhat historically accurate. It puts you in the
sure.
I mean, yes.
Mowing down every...
You're not... One soldier is not mowing down 150 guys or that. But it puts you there. No other game really
Barcelona,
was.
Guadalcanal would argue... Anyways.
Actually, I was going to say, as I was saying it, it's there is Barcelona and
You know, I can say this, being a guy who was born in the late 80s and grew up in the 90s.
89, dude? Are you going to say late
88?
88. Oh, 88. Whoa.
What did I say? I said late 80s.
Okay, sure.
We're 80s kids. Come on.
Oh, we can't claim that shit.
Yeah, no. But I'm just saying, being a guy who grew up in the 90s was my second point.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like I said, it's not all about the soldier gung-ho hoorah shit, but, you know, when we were kids, we were taught the Nazis were the bad guys. Every single, sci-fi thriller movie had Nazi enemies for some reason.
Star Wars or Nazis.
Yeah. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, I mean, every single one of them fought Nazis. So, when it came out, games like Call of Duty World at War, where Nazi zombies were a thing.
Perfect marketing.
I played that to an extent.
There were Japanese zombies too, by the way. world maps.
But what
world? Yeah.
But even and this is
much
not
better map also.
This is not specifically Pacific War, unfortunately. But one game that got me, I don't know why, but I just loved everything about it, despite zero historical accuracy, was Battlefield 1.
Yes. No. You're absolutely right on that.
Battlefield 1 just got me on everything, just about the era.
I've been thinking about that game so much lately.
People are still playing that game. That game touched it was perfect in creativity, perfect in the visualization of how it looks, the graphics, everything, and the gameplay was magical. And they fucked up so much.
It certainly wasn't a realistic World War One.
But
it was captivating.
But it's compared to what came after it. It's like what the hell were they thinking?
I missed out on Battlefield 5 because apparently Battlefield 5 does captivate the essence of Battlefield 1 in a World War II setting. I didn't play Battlefield 5. Missed out on that.
No,
Battlefield 1
just to say from like an old school World War or Pacific War perspective, I thought Battlefield 1 was good because it did have the diversity.
This is getting super long.
My favorite weapon, Martini Henry, which is the weapon.
Your favorite weapon was riding around on a horse macheting people.
No, it was the Martini Henry, which was an instant kill from 10 meters to 60 meters, and it was also the weapon that the British used against the Zulus.
That's wonderful.
Jesus Christ.
But just to say, from a video game...
His name is... Oh, I won't say your full name, sorry. But it's relevant anyways.
I used to be the Prime Minister of Rhodesia.
The king of Rhodesia.
He never declared himself
the last king. Oh my god, we're not getting it. Anyways, the last format for this episode, to finish it off because it's getting long, it's going to be anime. Oh, it's going to be... so, there's like a few there's a lot of choices for the Pacific War. Everyone's going to think of the same movie. The Grave of the Fireflies is the go-to. And Barefoot Gen is similar. Ian's going to tell us about another anime series.
Why do I have to?
He's going to tell us. Actually, right now, premiering in theaters is a famous... It's making a lot of money. It's called The Boy and the Heron. It's about the Pacific War. I haven't looked into it too much, but it's about like a boy who's, again, it's almost...
Can you say the name again?
The Boy and the Heron?
Okay, I heard something else. I heard The Boy and the Harem, and...
Well, Japanese, it's gonna be like that.
I was like... This is in theaters?
Well, I mean, like,
so there is hentai of many subjects, and...
You got your...
You can roll 34 or anything.
You got your High School of the Dead. But there's a lot of choices when it comes to Pacific War anime. I think the Studio Ghibli made Grave of the Fireflies. It's a harrowing account. It's a real story from an author.
That's a
it's a touch your heartstrings kind of movie.
I've met so many people who are huge Studio Ghibli fans,
and they never seen it.
They've never seen it. And when they did see it, they told me that they turned it off.
Yeah,
because they loved Studio Ghibli for being very
cheery.
Yeah, and when they watched that, it destroyed their reality.
And just I'm actually gonna not do this for Justin, but for the audience, for those who've actually seen this movie. If you didn't know, at the very end of the movie, one of the main character, the narrator, he dies. He's not dead. He killed himself off in the story because he had personally felt that's where he died after his sister had passed away. It is harrowing. It's very sad.
That person that he was died there.
It's an unbelievable movie. Underrated, which is... anyways. But to finish us off... For this episode, Ian will talk to us about two different types of anime shows that are Pacific War-esque that deal with warships.
So, well, you guys might have...
So, Justin, we'll pitch it to Justin. You like women, and you like warships, but how could you get both at the same time?
Warships with tits?
Kind of.
Better. So imagine if your warship had a personality.
Oh god.
Yeah.
So your warship. Let's take off the.
Is this like Cars 2, but with warships?
It kind of is, yeah.
essentially. So these warships, they usually have like 3,000 to 4,000 for a big battleship. Like 3,000 people on board. Let's imagine there's no people on board the ship because the ship.
Forget that shit. Yeah.
The ship is its own entity, and in maritime tradition, ships are usually considered of the female sex. And
Oh no.
I just have to say, he purchased the lolly fucking captains on his World of Warships account.
okay.
Oh, people have no idea what we're talking about. But
I purchased it. I had.
Ian, finish the story. What
So
what is
okay,
this show?
so each of these ships.
Azur
have
Lane, people. Azur Lane.
It's Azur Lane. A ship has its own personality, and they're usually big-breasted women or lolly girls. And
jeez.
I don't want to. I really don't want to explain what a lolly girl is.
Don't. It's fine. He doesn't need to.
So,
know.
anyways, like, I'm sure if you Google Bismarck.
Yes, you will find it.
You can easily just put in
Second page.
sexy Bismarck,
fuck
and you're
yeah.
gonna get Azur Lane.
Yeah, it's the first thing that's gonna come
And
up.
whatever this is, you have watched every single fucking episode, haven't you?
I used to play the Azur Lane game because
Yeah.
I love anything warships and stuff.
I knew, like, he comes over and he
You
brings
were
his-
watching Battleship hentai, weren't you?
Oh,
This is
Jesus
just one of
Christ,
two. This
Ian.
is just one of two animes.
There's another anime.
There's another one I was supposed to talk about.
What's it called? Blue.
For those of you out there, I'm regretting my life choices of being friends with these people
Arpellago
right now.
Blue.
Arpeggio of Blue Steel, which is another show where warships have female persona, and so like these ships can, like, at one point they're ships, but then they become human form, and don't ask me the physics of it, or
Like a transformer?
Oh, they'll transform. Yeah.
they I guess, like, well, in Azur Lane, like, they stay in their physical form, but then they have, like,
no idea
battleship
what
cannons on their hands, and it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I just don't know how.
So this is like, if you're a degenerate.
I
at a
love
bar-
World of Warships. It's one of my favorite games, and there's not a lot of naval content out there or mediums to, like.
So you need
source-
to watch.
So he resorted to
So
Well,
this is
in
why-
Battleship hentai.
In World of
Oh,
Warships,
for fuck's sake.
they have a lot of the commanders and ships itself from both of these shows, Azur Lane and Arpeggio of Blue Steel, and some of the best commanders you can get are from said shows. And yeah,
the political nature of how he's speaking now has changed dramatically in the last 5 minutes. He's like tiptoeing around this so hard. So everybody,
I don't know what you want me to say.
everybody who's watched this disaster,
it just the last 5 minutes, it's like
anyway.
I didn't create it.
So this were, I guess in the end, these are kind of like ideas of how you're going to trick a friend into getting into the Pacific War because you're so lonely and you need someone to talk to. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, for the love of God, comment. Maybe this will go on my regular YouTube channel. This one was fun.
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
The patrons are getting this immediately. Definitely on Spotify and that, but you guys can't comment.
Poor patrons. I am so sorry.
Again, if you want to see the silly bar setup, you gotta go on the Patreon, or maybe it'll go on the YouTube, and I'll show it in its full glory. But before
I was telling Craig he should put up a poll, ask you guys, what would you like the background to be? I had mentioned,
you want it to be lollies, don't you?
On the deck of the IJN Yamato, not.
You want the Yamato
Not the ship.
lolly Azur Lane?
I
version?
want, on.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
it.
even. I can't even finish the sentence.
That's what he wants.
But for any of you guys who are curious, you can.
Can I go?
Google.
Can I just leave?
So, for all of you, if you'd like to support the channel, the best way to do so is to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube, and leave a comment. It really does help. If you want to further support me, as low as $2, you can get exclusive podcasts over at www.patreon.com/The Pacific War Channel. Do you like how my voice changes to that dumb sponsor read voice I do all the time? I'm sorry.
Just Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe button, guys. Oh, and there's about 14 plus exclusive podcasts over there. And I think this month's podcast, if you're listening to this now, will be a really weird one on Operation Fugi, which was Japan trying to create Israel in Shanghai in the late 1930s. It is exactly as it sounds. It's a very strange one. One of my patrons wants me to cover the story, so I'm going to do so. I thank both of my friends, one of which is a complete degenerate. Sorry.
That last 5 minutes didn't paint me in a good light.
But this has been the Pacific War Channel, over and out.
Take care, guys.